Hi, good evening. On behalf of our President, Mr. Rajesh Sharma, members of the Executive Committee, and all the participants or members of Bombay Management Association, I welcome each one of you for our very popular event called Friday Fundamental Webinars. Today, we have for this webinar, Mr. Deepak, who will take you through, what we call as the application migration to cloud. All of us are aware of the fact that application migration is in the process of is nothing but moving software from one computing environment to another. That sounds so simple. You might, for instance, migrate an application from one data center to another, from an open premises server to a cloud providing environment, or from public cloud to a public cloud environment, private cloud environment. How the idea of doing this and how should one go about it is not so simple at all. It requires discipline. It requires decent knowledge also to do the needful. I mean, like I've seen that some applications may be of low-hanging fruit and quick wins in the cloud, no issues at all, while other applications will require refactoring or redesign ahead of cloud migration or special services. All these requirements can be quite demanding for sure, as the need to take care of the cost, performance, and security cannot be undermined. So to take us through for the complex environment of what we call as the application migration to cloud, we have an expert known as Mr. Deepak Salagare. Mr. Deepak is a senior consultant of TCS, and he comes with a rich experience of almost 2 decades in information technology that spans across multiple technologies. And I just loved his statement when he said, "Don't just build links, build relationships." What a wonderful statement. His professional journey reflects the same way he takes great pride in creating value and building meaningful relationship with the team, customer, internal stakeholders, and everybody else. He's worked across multiple technologies and domain all through his career. Some of his forte or strengths, which I really would like to speak about, is that he's been instrumental in successfully delivering large programs across different technologies, on platforms like Oracle, EBS, AEM, Salesforce, and whatnot. He also helped grow the business relationships multifold to many the clients as such, and he played a very pivotal role in any one of them. He's also contributed to large multinational deals in solutioning and pricing areas as such. The key strategic initiatives which Mr. Deepak took, in his 2 decades of career, is led the automation strategy for large customers within manufacturing business verticals. He's also led POC insights and data analytics for incidents by leveraging AL and ML. Currently, at TCS, his role involves delivering ownership to 5 strategic customers, leading a diverse team of 370 plus across multiple geographies, technologies, and experiences spectrum. He's also overseeing the cybersecurity delivery for one of the key business units with the organization, with almost about 40 plus customers. Mr. Deepak is an engineer. He's done his BE in electronics from VIT Pune, and he's also done his executive MBA program and specialized in the area of finance. He's got a lot of certifications which are relevant to his area of competence, which includes PMP, Safe Angelist, Certified Scrum Master and all. Deepak is a public people leader. In fact, I had a quick interaction with him before the event started. He's an excellent team player, and I realized what a wonderful human being he is. His strong belief in simplicity, commitment, agility, and trust is unparalleled. He lives in Mumbai with his parents, spouse, and kids. He loves cooking, reading, and going for the long drives. So over to you, Mr. Deepak. Please take us through the complex world of what we call the application migration to cloud as such, which actually is indeed very, very complicated. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. By the way, am I loud and clear? Audible?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, Dr. Vigyan Verma, thank you. Thank you to you, BMA, Dr. Rajesh and the Chaitanya Sate sir and the entire team of BMA to give this opportunity to come today. I first also would like to thank all the participants who are spending their precious Friday evening. I hope make there is some takeaway for them as we move from here. Okay, it's 9 minutes past 6, and I know we have a date time till I need to end by 7. Uh, Thank you for this fantastic briefing and the background. I think you covered. I'll try to talk more about it. It's something which is very close to me, and we'll go from here. To all the participants, those who are joined, guys, feel free to interrupt me. There is particular way I've tried to put up this entire sharing my experience, I'll say, and we will have maybe 5-10 minutes towards the end, or I'm a buzz away. I'm on LinkedIn. You can connect me in case you need anything more. We can connect offline. Thank you. With that, let me start sharing my screen, and I have some challenge where I cannot see my PPT and the team here together. So I've connected on the two laptops. So please bear me with that. I'll start sharing my screen. And OP, maybe it will go to mute position.
Yeah, sure. I'll unmute you. So please unmute yourself. Yeah, we are able to hear you now.
I'm audible and my screen is visible, right?
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you. Okay. So like to put this cloud journey into 4 different pillars. Okay. Begins with why. What is my strategy? Then it becomes about what I have. Okay. Then third point will focus on how I'll do that. Okay. And the followed by the migration, a factory model, which we'll talk it at length. Followed by success factor and the Q&A. So that's the agenda for today, this evening. And I have logical breaks after each and every session. So after my cloud strategy, in case you have any questions, or let's say after the second stage, you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Okay. Now we have seen off late there is the need that many customers say that, hey, I am on data center, I need to move on to cloud for what, right? So that particular area of why part is being covered as we cover the strategy and roadmap. Do we really need to go to cloud? And then if yes, what are the criteria I need to look into before I even make that decision? Okay. Number 2, what is with me? How I need to look forward? Can I just go start thinking and then move it as is? Probably no, probably yes. Differs, but let's get into this as part of phase 2 or stage 2. Number 3 is the environment setup. Your target environment could be different cloud, it could be a hybrid setup. What are the key things I need to do when I look into the foundation of my new environment? Multiple approaches for migration. What suits best me, or even what suits best to the technology stack I have or the different applications I have, and how do I cater to that? How do I ensure that I do a optimal way to migrate? That will be the stage 4. So these are my 4 pillars, followed by overall success factor, which we'll cover through. Okay. The first stage, cloud strategy and roadmap. Okay, why there is need to move to cloud, right? And maybe the recent COVID was a bitter experience, but yeah, something we learned about, where we started to need the application fast. We wanted certain things we wanted to go get online. There were no people around. We wanted to go online, and we wanted to bring certain applications very fast, so that people can start using. So how do I cater to the current business agility? My driver point. How do I, people are using the applications may be there in the legacy system for a while. There is a need for me to move from one application to another, or need to change the user experience, so that my customers don't go away from me. So how do I enhance my do I really need to take care of my customers? And yes, how do I change the end user experience for them? Is there any way I can optimize with that? It's a very tricky discussion, but yes, if I do have a fantastic strategy and I do my homework well, I will optimize my cost as I move from my legacy hosting. It will help me enable, it will help my technology stack to transform, cater to the latest business demand, and transform from X to Y quickly. It enhances the security, bit, there will be certain lapses. It's a point where we can discuss, because there are certain applications which could be regulatory or sensitive in data, and then there is a reluctance to move those applications to cloud. Fair enough, but cloud will, the way the services is provided, it helps you enable and make the security more robust. Last but not the least, how do I leverage all the latest and easy made services onto the platform for my business? So this why is not restricted to this 5 or 6 pillars here. There are many governing principles. So what I do is I sit back. If I want to understand, do I really need to move to cloud? I sit back, understand what is that I'm going to achieve, why I'm going to migrate to cloud. These are the governing principles which will help me, and this is how my journey begins with. So this is the first and foremost, I'll say, foundational pillar for my journey to cloud. I'll take a pause here. Any questions?
Mr. Deepak, I've already told them that they can put the question in the chat box,
Okay,
and we'll take it up as and when it comes.
no worries. Thank you for that. No
Yeah.
worries. My next stage, what I have, okay, what is that which I have currently in my legacy or my data centers? Do I have really done any assessment to it? I call it as we call it as application portfolio assessment. Many times, even for big customers, we don't have a central inventory. We call it as a CMDB, central database, which maintains all many applications. Many times it happens that you start off the business with, and then you keep on adding the applications based on the needs, and there are many applications which gets overlap over a period of time, that you might use certain modules from application X, and then you have started using module Y from application Z, but you never use that as full end-to-end application. So the one of the important thing is to rationalize the applications. Now, there are different parameters on which you can rationalize, but if I have a central database, great. There are tools, discovery tools, which you can put up into the environment, assuming it's an integrated data center environment, which will go capture what services are running, which applications are running, how many users are logging into the applications, what is the usage of the applications. You connect with the business, try to understand what these applications are doing, assuming that you don't have a central inventory for all, and see the length and breadth. So when I say length and breadth, the criteria will be, what is the value that application is providing to me a business at the current stage? It will be an application which was fantastic usage, used heavily 5 years back, may not be used now. Is there any way I can optimize it by replacing that application? Is there any way I can have, example, let's say supply chain, okay, and you have order to process, you don't have a ERP, or you have some bolt-on applications on the ERP environment. Over a period of time, you might be using some applications for a data warehouse, or a bolt-on on data warehouse module, or bolt-on on a logistic module, and then suddenly you see that, oh, you have common functionality between them, which I need to optimize. So the way application portfolio could be rationalized is based on which function, the business function. One of the parameters to cut across could be the technology factor that, okay, I will like my entire financial module into XYZ technology, or all my bolt-on applications I like to put up on Microsoft stack. That will be one strategy for a customer, right? So these assessments look forward across all the 3 or 4 directions: the business, the application lifecycle, application technology stack, the business strategy towards the technology, and the strategic platforms. Okay, so this is one of the critical activity. It based on what data you have, it might take few weeks, or it can go up to a couple of months as well, unless you guys are using any discovery tool to capture the information. A lot of traction is required, because from a technology perspective, you may not have the entire view of what that application is doing. And that's where the business users or the SMEs will play an important role to help you understand what these applications are all about. Throughout this session, I'll take example of one such large we did for the global top 3 chemical company, and they gave us a list of 2,000 applications. Okay, so and then we were like, okay, 2,000 applications for a manufacturing company which are beyond the ERPs and bolt-ons, how it can be possible? And that's where the entire journey kick-started. And I'll follow this number and tell you how we streamline this with the example. Okay, so we did this assessment. Let's say we do the application portfolio rationalization to check, are my applications really cloud ready? Do I have certain data or applications which I may not be very comfortable to put on cloud immediately? So that is driven. This is getting driven by this exercise. I may want to stop my R&D data. I may want to stop my regulatory lab related information, or certain regulatory data of pharma companies, which requires to be kept over a period of time, and don't want to give it beyond a certain region, data center, want to restrict that data. So we analyze, we see which are the easy workloads or applications which are cloud ready, and then relook at what can be given easily to cloud, what remains on the data center. Okay, with this I'll move on to the next slide. It's more on the technology. So we talk about the business drivers, we talk about the technology where it will fit. So these are the different drivers which will help do the assessment of the application. I'll not go deep into each of this. So for example, the business value, we know whether it's mission critical, business critical, less important, or I'm looking from a cost factor perspective. What are my levers? Okay, is it I'm looking forward for some customization, or I'm trying to optimize on the license part? How do I further streamline? So these are the drivers which will help me bucket my application from different aspects and arrive whether it is ready to move to cloud. Okay, so is there any one solution for all which will fit all? The answer is no. Okay, because as I said, it is driven by the business, it's driven by multiple other factors. So my assessment, while I do this journey, I have a framework which will help me to decide what, if an application pass through all these criteria, what should be the path for me to take it to the cloud. So now let's say out of 2,000 applications, I decided that there are 1,000 applications which are cloud ready. Now, how do I take this 1,000? Will this all 1,000 can be easily pick up and put up on cloud, or what is that I need to look upon each of this application that will drive my decision on how do I take care of the application migration to cloud? If I look at the non-ERPs, the open frameworks, Java, .NET, all other applications, so I can strictly talk about certain things like a rehost, where I can just pick up the application, put up on the new environment, it will work. Or there could be some refactoring where I have to do some configuration changes onto my destination cloud. The third is where I do a replatform, where I do a small changes to the architecture, or I can change the framework. Maybe it could be a legacy ASP to the .NET framework latest, or we're moving to the latest platform on Java. Last but not the least, the re-engineering, where I scrap the old application, I understand what the application is all about. I look into the business. Either I use a tool to capture the business logic, or I do the reverse engineering, understand the application, substitute by either redevelopment or replacing it with an application which is available in the market. So for all these applications, there are different migration or different ways I need to arrive at how those applications can get deployed onto the cloud. And this is the decision framework. As I said, my decision framework is very important. It's not one solution. It will be one solution which will fit to that particular environment, to particular business, and that may not work as is everywhere. So it's a very important stage in this cloud migration journey. How do we understand the what part? How do I understand what my application does? How do I rationalize? How do I select only those candidates which are eligible for cloud? And then think of the strategy, how that will get landed onto the cloud. Okay. So the journey was, we started off with the assessment results. We started with the migration. We understood the application which are candidate for cloud. There are different, as we talked, there are different migration paths. Replace, refactor, rehost. I did not talk about retain and retire. So retain, as it says, there will be certain applications which you think will have to be hosted on the same environment for whatever reasons. There could be the applications where it is going to end the life cycle, or it's going to be shell out. There is no reason you need to put any efforts and costs to move to them cloud. Or this could be also the applications from a data sensitive point of view, where we don't want to move to the cloud. And last but not the least, certain applications which are no more being used, but capturing your space, your energy into the data centers, which are just lying there idle, not being used, that cleanup can be done with retirement. How to consume that? So once I replace my migration path, I know that whether I'm going to use the as-is services on, or I can use SaaS on cloud, I'm going to replace that application, or I can just use the platform. I'll do the refactor or replatform and use on the PaaS, or I copy paste, rehost the applications on the environment. Okay, that covers the migration path strategy. Now, I was talking about, there's a decision framework, and I just put across one for your review, that how that each and every stage, what gets into through that, and how important it is to look into. So like we have the technical decision process flow, you can also have a business decision process flow. Okay, because we cannot just move the application from one axis, right? It cannot be just the technology driven. It has to be the business or the functional axis as well. So I just put forward one example to show for an application which was ready for cloud. Okay, I'm checking into each of my decision making, what qualifications it is doing. Does it go for re-engineering, or does it go for refactor, or it goes to rehost, or a replatform? This is one of the key framework one needs to have, so that you maintain the consistency, you maintain the decision parameters as you move. In fact, in one such migration, we put up a score to this. Okay, and because it was very difficult to put what will go. For example, when I'm just talking about applications. Now the applications can be application which is used by 100 users, or there could be applications which is used by 10,000 users, and these users are plant-based applications, plant users or global users, right? Now, these two applications are not of the same size. The effort required to move to cloud will be different. So I cannot call one and 1:1, right? It's a different paradigm. So another paradigm which comes into picture is the size and the complexity of the application. So we had a framework where we put up on the different parameters, be it the web component, database size, users, criticality, and bucketed the application on the size where such application falls, and we put up an average score to it. So let's say if an application with less than 50 users is a simple application. Similarly, application with a load balancers database, 5,000 users, globally applications could be a medium-sized application. Effort required for migrations are different. So while we identify the cloud candidate, we also identify the how big or small and how complex that migration is. Okay. So this was the phase or stage 2. I'll repeat. The first stage was why, and we found what I have, why I'm doing this, primarily driven by business, primarily driven by strategic decisions. Number 2 was what I have. I did a cleanup. I understood my environment. I understood my data center applications. I understood where these applications are falling into. I bucketed them. I tried to group them. I grouped based on their migration strategy. Now, so that becomes my source. Now I need to look into my destination, cloud, right? Now with cloud coming into picture, now this is like, I mean, in a very layman's language, from you replacing the mom and shop pop shops with a big mall, and then you have everything under one hood, right? I mean, this is way I look at cloud, where you have everything there. You just enter and you have everything, whatever you want to, and all services are available. So once you decide which cloud or what type of cloud environment, based on the business criticality and the strategy, some organizations might go for a hybrid cloud platform. Some might go for dedicated, one of the top 3 services, vis-a-vis hosting by some third-party providers. Assuming that the target is identified, what are the key components I need to provision, I need to have, so that now I can start working on moving my applications to cloud. The many such important is my security component, or first it begins with the network connectivity, because it might happen that while you move to cloud, you are still using your data center for some critical applications, and you still need to establish the single sign-on, the seamless connectivity between these two environments, right? So my network and connectivity, how do I going to manage my multiple services on cloud? What are the configurations I need to do to put up this target destination onto the cloud? These days you can have a direct provisioning on the cloud. So how do I ensure that I use the best services? I ensure that I stop the services which are not required. I restrict myself. I just use what I pay for what I'm using for, right? Then how do I monitor? How do I continue to monitor my cloud applications once they move to cloud? What is the charges I'm going to pay? How do I capture the logs? One of the important parameter, the security. I think in many of the or a couple of engagements, security is the block where time spent will be on a very higher side vis-a-vis the others, because your architects, the custom architects, need to sit down, identify, decide how I want to, how do I make this new environment as secure as what I have in the data center. So while we put everything in the one, they are being represented by same blocks, security is one of the important factor where there could be a brainstorming done before we actually put forward the network and the connectivity, followed by the authentication and BCP. So this is how I ensure my destination is set up. I have my candidates ready, my workloads ready. I have my destination, which is I have worked upon. I have put up the destinations which I have set up my environment now. With this, I move on to the actual application migration. Okay, just doing a time check here. So I have different set of applications. Let's say I had 2000. I did assessment, and now applications are around 1000. Now I want to ensure that how do I take this 2000 to the cloud? Am I going to do a big bang, that too for applications as is? Probably the answer is no, we can't, unless you do a server to server migration. So for app migration, no, that's not the thing. Then what is the strategy on which, how do I migrate in an optimal time without impact to my business, right? Because there will be many such applications which are productions which are being used, and you won't be able to even some mission critical applications which you won't be able to move forward for. Guys, just excuse me, I'm getting a call here, an important call which I need to take. Sorry for that.
Please do that. No problems.
Sorry, my apologies for that. Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Quite fine.
Sorry for that. So, okay, now my destination. Sorry, that train of thought got broken up. I should have not. It's what is important call I need to have to pick up. I need to now decide how do I divide these applications. I cannot go for a big bang. I need to break it up into. Then what is the criteria which is driving me to break these applications, right? There's something which I saw. Okay. I can group based on the functionality. I can group them based on the interdependencies they have. Let's say for HR module, uh, I cannot just think of moving my leave or my holiday related or my employee related data. I keep it in data center and I move related HR applications to cloud, and then always have a back and fro calls between these two environments. No, maybe I need to sit back, understand from the business how these applications are dependent all upon, what is the data of inflow and outflow, and then see how I can club them together. So that is one way of clubbing the applications based on the dependencies. Keep that apart, keep sideways. Other thing will be the complexity. Applications which are, just used being during the business hours, 8 hours. They are not 24/7. They are not mission criticals. So why to wait for a weekend or when the business is away, and why to wait for their migrations? I can group certain applications together based on their usage and complexity. Business risk: if this application doesn't go live, how that will impact my business, right? And the way it is hosted. For example, I want to move all my refactors, or I want to use all my rehosts together. So depending on the different dimensions, you define the move group. Move group is nothing but a collection of application for a given migration. Okay. So it has to be backed up by the business very well, else it is very difficult to identify the move group. Identifying of the move group is also one of the important success criteria for us for the actual migration. Okay. So this is how my skeleton is done. My applications are ready, which will go to cloud. How they will go to cloud, that is ready. I know what is their criticality. I understand their technology stack. I understand their business criticality. I group them based on the different move groups. Now, to make it optimal, I would love to go into a factory mode. Okay. So what is this factory mode all about? So, in a production line, everyone does a repetitive task, right? Example, let's take example of Tata Motors, where you have the long production line, assembly line, and then you have people who are just putting up the frame, then putting up the engines and the car and the tires and so on towards at the end it's a painting. This helps in having the highest efficiency. Now, does it really helpful in such environment? The answer is yes, it is, because the challenges faced to migrate or convert an application from one is different, right? So my rehost requires different skills. My replatform or replace requires a different way of attacking the problem. Now, who are involved in this? We have the developers, we have the architects, we have the our quality assurance team, we have the business SMEs. So it becomes very easy when we try to do the same type of changes again and again. So once my pilot is done, I will ensure that I group my team in such a way that maximum learning experience for that particular line, production line, or the migration methodology is with the team. And that team does that in a very efficient way. Okay. It has to have a very fantastic support from the customers, the business, without which it's not possible. There could be a factor of introducing automation into this. It could be third-party automation tools which are available in the market, or based on the learnings on the initial set of move group. We had developed certain utilities which will take care of certain common changes. We run the script and it was taking care of the changes. So every production line, the idea should be how optimized we can make it, because it's the same changes. How we can optimize? I have the common team. Do I have a tool? Can I create some custom script which I can automate? Focus on that. On similar lines, create a release train path. I mean, I have not depicted here. So based on the safe agile methodology, we can have different, look this production line as different agile teams working together, and they have a common release train, or RT they call it as, where once that application is developed, it goes to the release team. They take care of the testing. The UAT team is involved. So that particular cycle where different applications from different production lines come to the release team, come to the QA team, then move to the QAT team and the release team. So that continuous cycle is on, and you ensure that the time dependencies and the efforts are reduced. To cite the example of the same case study, around 1,000, there were around 600 applications which are decided that they should go to cloud. And then we try to develop a move group based on 50 applications in one go, 50. Okay. And again, we have multiple teams who were taking care of that, and the customer was involved to a great extent. This is the depiction of we talk about multiple things. Okay. So I started off whatever we talk about, all the 4 stages, I try to depict in a way of a SDLC cycle, or sorry for this, or how it will flow through. Okay, so my discovery is nothing but my assessment. Okay, I discover, I put up the tool, or I put up, I capture the data, I collect in a single way because I want to compare the data. I do the assessment. Of this assessment, it could be based on a tool-based assessment as well. So in entire, if you look at this entire cycle, there are various ways you can optimize by introducing certain tools in the market, or doing some custom scripting based on your requirement. We in parallel did the cloud environment setup, okay, and finalize that, okay, what are the things which will go, what are, how my move groups will form, how that will flow. The first move group was about pilot, where we took different applications of different migration paths to understand the challenges in each of that, so that when we start with the production line, we have the experience carried. The ecosystem takes is one of the it has to be a strong ecosystem. When it comes to any delivery, we talk about people, process, and technology, right? So in people here, the business stakeholders, and the process part includes, not restricted to, how I'm doing to manage this entire application. This is a big multiple teams involved, multiple high complexity, multiple issues which will run through, a bigger change impact for the organizations, for the end users, high amount of communications which is required, all the different teams. Just imagine you're touching across all the different departments of the customer, right? You are cutting across their IT team, your infra team, the end users, the business users who are going to use it, their architects team, everyone. Okay, so how to ensure that all these different teams are coming together and marching for the single goal. Last but not the least, for any program, how do we manage the risk? So this becomes the key governance, the process which are put in. We have the move groups which we have identified, and we start off with the migration, which is more likely a factory model, where we do the changes, we do the test, we get the customer involved, do the UAT testing, get their sign-offs, and move on. Last but not the least, give the support as well. So imagine a cycle where you have 50 applications which are a part of one move group, and you then release them to the end users, or made them live together. There is a good amount of team which is also required to capture the nuisances, if any, once they are live. And so there is a effort required to ensure that go live is done. Post go live, there is a good amount of, we avoid any surprises, avoid any nuisances into that. Okay, so that's about the depiction through a SDLC cycle, I'll say. And we can have it in multiple ways. As I said, we can have it run through the safe framework model, different agile teams running together and achieving the target. Okay, moving along, and I'm just checking your time here. Time check. I know I have to stop at 7. That was I've told. Okay. Now we covered the 4 stages, right? We covered the 4 stages. Now, in each of the stages, each different areas played important role, and it's not restricted to this what I put up here. But for a recap, okay, how do I measure the success of such migration programs? Is it really some return on investment to what I'm doing? And if yes, what are the things I need to ensure that which will drive my migration to a successful journey, right? So the foremost is the business. It's a big change management, change which needs to be accepted by the users, uh, the way they are connecting to the applications. There could be some change in the user interface, or you might change the way they used to capture and plant orders. You are changing the user interference for them. So that change could be big. So business plays an important role, right from making sure that they share the understanding of the applications, they get the right SMEs to test once the application is changed. They provide the approvals on time so that your entire migration factory is not impacted. Any delay. Imagine the factory line. So let's say the tires are not ready, and the entire factory line for Tata Motors might get halted or get impacted because of that one component not available, right? So any delay into any of these areas or decisions is going to impact my migration cycle. Business is the topmost important. Data from the confidentiality, security, and quality perspective. Infra technology, we talk about security among the topmost critical element. Security was the longest running discussion channel for us in most of these engagements, because many customers, many architects have their concerns. It's not easy to penetrate, or unless all the questions and all the things are clear, it's not a go ahead. So security is the important, I'll not say roadblock, but the time taking activity in this entire cycle. Last, of course, the application life architecture on which you have decided to move the platforms, move the cloud, move the workloads, and how do you manage the life cycle. So just to cite one example, the application is a production application, and there are some issues in that, and you still need to, so there is a team who is working on fixing those issues, correct? And now this application is also a component to move to cloud. So how do I ensure that I move the right version to the cloud? I know it's a very simple thing, but from a implementation point of view, it's become very difficult, because when you're talking about moving many applications all together, how do you ensure that the sanity, then you maintain the hygiene, and you don't create any issues where the old issues pop up again. So the application lifecycle management for the application remains one of the other important parameters. So that covers the success factors. I don't know. I'm just checking. I did a time check, and this is what I have for today to discuss on this migration. We have 9 minutes, and we can open up for the questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deepak. If anyone has any question, you can even raise your hand and ask directly from Mr. Deepak.
I'll stop sharing my screen if that's okay.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Questions from attendees, otherwise.
This meeting is being recorded.
Mr. Kamal has a question. Mr. Kamal, you can unmute and ask a question.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. Good evening.
Okay. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for a wonderful session. So we are having some challenges on the cloud migration side. Suddenly, this is going from an IT cost to a business cost. And, and because the kind of nature it is, right? Because moving from the servers and hardware infrastructure, it's now cloud managed and stuff. Any suggestions or stuff that you recommend that how we handle business with this kind of a cost increase, or I don't know if you face the same problem.
I hear you where you're coming from. So that goes, and if anybody would like to take this question, it's an interesting question, but not sure if. So if you look at the first stage, okay, and the second stage, okay, and Kamal, please don't reveal your the name of that. Don't, because
I know it's
learning. Let's maintain the confidentiality of the same and sanity of the same. The four most important is why and what. Okay. And one of the important parameters is return on investment. Okay. So that homework needs to be done, else. So I don't know if you heard me. I said that I take cloud as a mall where you get everything under one umbrella, versus a mom and pop shop. Correct. Now we realize that sometimes we land up spending here more because we take more services and everything under one umbrella. Vis-a-vis, we can get the same thing in the older version mom and pop shops, because then what has missed? The miss might have been the business should drive that and not the IT. Okay, so that will be. Let's not get into what could have been done wrong, but my suggestion will be uh, multiple ways to look at it: strategic, tactical, and operational. Okay, I think strategic it will take time, but from operational part, see, are there any such services which you have put up, which is you might have taken up like these and put up there, and just do a monitoring of the cloud environment and see if there are some services which are not being used or hardly used, and can you shut down those services? Okay, are you bleeding on certain things which are still there? For example, in if you're not doing a tight control and monitor of the cloud environment, we are gonna put up we're burning many dollars just on the services which are on for no use. Okay, uh, that is from an operational point of view. Tactical point of view, think from what was that? I mean, what is have you done decommissioning of the server? So, see, you can do a cost saving when I move from X to Y, but if I'm not decommissioned my X, I'm still burning the dollars. For example, let's say in my data center I have 50 servers, okay, and there are 500 applications on the servers. Here I moved, let's say 200 applications. So 300 applications are still on my old data center. But if I'm not going to optimize my servers, I'm still going to burn the cost on my on-premise environment. From a tactical level, see if there is a way of optimizations. Okay. Last but not the least, strategic. I mean, that should have been a little earlier done. And Kamal, feel free to connect offline. We can particularly talk about this in detail. We really like to understand, so what was the technology stack? How did you move? Because to answer that, that if this is one what we can help you, and you will need to understand what was more background to it. So you can connect me on BMA site or LinkedIn, and we can happy to help or discuss on this. I'm not saying that I'll have a solution to it, but
No, I understand. Yeah.
We can talk.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Deepak, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead, sir.
I'm not an IT person at all, but a couple of things which just came to my mind. Do you think trust factor is an extremely important issue in application migration? Number one. Number two is, many institutions use ERP when we use, and we get hold of a vendor. But we always have a fear that the vendor might just close down someday and then we lose our data. So is that kind of risk always there on the cloud also, right? So these two questions, trust factor, risk factor, and also, do you think quantum computing will change the entire environment?
Okay, so let me go step by step. Okay, so trust factor for sure, yes, and that's where the people part plays a most important role, right? We mentioned, right? We are multiple. You literally cut across every department of the company, of the customer, when we are doing such a thing, when you're moving from, you're doing such a level big migrations, right? So let's say you rely on certain factors, be it the testing team, the UAT SMEs have done their work, they have ensured that whatever was there was correct. You did a sanity test, or the discussion between your security team on the environment, or vis-a-vis the trust factor in the new environment where, oh, I have put everything on the cloud. Can I trust this? And what makes me? Is there any risk associated with that? Right. That's where the regulatory data, some compliance related data, there is still some reluctance within the large organizations. For one of the lab companies, it's a chemical company, and they had regulatory data for the labs, and they were like, okay, we can move everything, but not the lab data. Okay, so that was close to their heart. That is how they, the moment something is done, it might cause a big failure. Vis-a-vis. Now, this was one example where the customer or the regulatory data did not allow them from a trust factor perspective, but if I compare that against the pharma company was happy, and they, okay, this is the new environment. I'm going there. This is the environment. This is the service provider. I trust them for the services, for the data privacy. I'm there for them. So it will depend on the business. It depends on the business stakeholder. So from IT perspective, yes. From a business perspective, we need to ensure we have their buy-in to do. And that's where I said it takes a lot of time to get the buy-in from the business to move this. Okay. Now quantum, and we are talking about low code, no code. We are talking about multiple ways. I still feel there is a lot many things which is still unassessed. Okay. So when I say many things, when you're looking at certain things where I'll say that the startup firms. Okay. For them, they are not going to wait for anything. They'll just create some space on the cloud. They'll put up an application. They start running, right? Vis-a-vis large organizations where they have hundred of servers, even large applications, large US banking applications are still working on mainframes. So there is a, when we are talking about the latest technology, and when we are talking about, oh, this will move fast, this will take it forward. The core is still on many legacy applications, and it's very wrong comparison if I say that oh, startup is everything on cloud, but my banking, oh, they are into mainframe. They're still on mainframe for last 3-4 decades, but that's the fact. Okay, so it will change, but not to the level or it will take time. Okay, it's gonna take time. The way the business are changing, this will change.
How about the risk of vendors closing down?
Okay, come to us. Come to TCS. No, I mean, just so see, that risk is there, right? We had some experience where old companies, see, that is where organizations, based on their risk taking attitude, and they decide where, because it's that it's a small thing which will not go for long. If you're going to the top 3 service providers, you come to any service company, they have their own private hosting clouds. We are there, right? The risk is always there in the part, but something which is with the very small vendor, I mean, I don't want to comment on that. They are taking their.
Is any other question from the audience? If there's none, we'll stop here, Mr. Deepak.
Sure. I don't know if no questions mean whether the session was okay, not useful.
The session was very informative. I'll tell you what, it was quite complex, and it was quite nice and informative. And many times all these members, they get in touch with the PMA team, and they revert later on. Maybe many people do not want to ask questions openly here on this platform. What Mr. Kamal, what did he talk about? So, but then never mind. You will get bombarded with many queries and questions from a lot of people.
Happy to connect. I'm on the LinkedIn, and
yes.
We can.
I have just sent you a what do you call an invitation on the LinkedIn. Hopefully, you will get connected with me also.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to thank Mr. Deepak, you for spending time, despite the fact that you have some family issues and all. But then nonetheless, you came and kept your commitment. That shows the TCS commitment. That shows the commitment of every employee of your organization. No wonder why they are one of the best in the world, And on behalf of the president of Bombay Management Association, all our executive committee members, and the members of PMA and other members who've come and attended your session, it was indeed very, very nice, extremely informative. At least for people like me, the novice like me, I always thought that it's a simple thing. You just go to cloud and then upload your application, and that's it. But then looking at some of this beautiful PowerPoint presentation, I'm like the slides which you showed, backing up, taking a backup of a data is just one of them.